What's up, space pirates? This is your captain, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and it turns out that you can only make subpar TV shows or even straight-up garbage shows so many times before people just completely give up on you. Lucasfilm has done that for a decade now, littering the once proud Star Wars franchise with nonsense, and because of that, people appear to be completely apathetic about their new show, Skeleton Crew.
Look! See what's sneaking, friends?
Who gives a shit?
The show has debuted on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 86%, a far cry from the absolutely garbage reviews that we were seeing for The Acolyte, which settled at an abysmal 18%. But there is no hype with Skeleton Crew. Few people are talking about this show. It seems like the people who actually watched Skeleton Crew are enjoying it so far, but this is reminiscent of Andor in the sense that it sounds like a decent show that nobody is going to watch because Lucasfilm has lost the audience.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out,
"We do not care."
The trailers for this show are devoid of viewers, as I'm going to show you, or at least it's comparatively devoid considering that we are talking about Star Wars here, and the Google Trends data for the show is looking pretty wretched as well. Star Wars apathy has hit an all-time high, and now, almost as if on cue, the jackasses at Lucasfilm are trying to drum up some controversy right as this new show releases because they realize that nobody pays attention to them any longer. A few of the actors from The Acolyte have said some controversial things about the show just to get people talking about the franchise again, and supposedly it was just announced that they originally planned to have 3 seasons of The Acolyte along with a movie, but we just don't give a shit. We are done with Star Wars.
"Are you threatening me?"
Oh yeah!
It's treason, then.
I don't care.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter or X, or whatever you want to refer to it as these days. I keep a list on there of games lousy with wokeness pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle over there is Dr. Disaster 1. But alright, let's dive on into the Skeleton Crew and how there appears to be a major drop-off in interest for this show compared to the previous shows that came out on Disney+. And then I'm going to show you what the people from The Acolyte are saying, and I think you're going to agree when you hear it that they are just trying to rile people up. They want to stir up shit in order to get people talking about the franchise again. It's sad as hell that this once mighty film studio has to do this, but that is what a decade of utter mismanagement will do for a franchise. How Kathleen Kennedy still has her job is a mystery to me. But anyhow, let's start off by comparing the number of views for the trailers of Skeleton Crew to the views from previous Star Wars entries onto Disney+, because the difference is stark. 3 months ago, they put out this trailer here for Skeleton Crew, and it hit 5 million views, which may sound like a lot, but for Star Wars, this is pretty damned low, as I'll show you in a minute here. And then a month ago, they released their second trailer, which came in at just under 4 million views. Now, we're going to compare these numbers to the previous Star Wars shows from Disney+. And I know that someone out there is going to say, well, these trailers for Skeleton Crew haven't had as much time to gather views as the old shows, to which I reply with the obvious fact that the vast majority of clicks on a video like a trailer happen in the first week or two after its release, and these have been out for 3 months and 1 month respectively. The Skeleton Crew trailers are not going to come anywhere close to, as an example, The Acolyte here. Look at the views of the first trailer for The Acolyte. It got 11 million views. That is well over twice the number that the first trailer for The Skeleton Crew got. And then the second trailer that The Acolyte put out reached 7.7 million, which is also damn near twice the number of views for its Skeleton Crew counterpart. And then, let's look at Ahsoka, the show that preceded The Acolyte. Their first trailer tripled the views of Skeleton Crew with 16 million. And then the second trailer hit almost 10 million. As you can see, there is simply a massive downward trend on Disney Plus Star Wars products, and that bears itself out here as well on the Google Trends chart. If you aren't familiar with Google Trends, it's a service offered by Google where they will show you how often a term is searched up relative to other terms. It doesn't give you precise numbers as to how many times something is searched for, but it is useful in noticing trends, especially when comparing terms, hence the name. But anyhow, that yellow line here represents The Mandalorian TV show, and as you can see, Star Wars was at its peak when that show first came out in 2019, and it has been plummeting ever since. Those first two yellow mountains are the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and everything afterwards has been going downhill. That little blue line at the end is Skeleton Crew, which should be at its peak right about now since the show is just coming out. That's when these shows are typically at the height of their popularity. The red line and purple lines then were similarly popular search terms. They represent The Acolyte and Andor respectively. And then that green line is Ahsoka, which was the least watched Star Wars show until The Acolyte came along. And now it seems to be a little bit debatable as to which one of those is the current least watched show in the franchise. A lot of the searching, though, for The Acolyte, the reason that one is a little bit higher than some of its contemporaries is because people hated that show so much. The lesbian space witches and all the other ridiculous garbage in it had people really riled up. It was such a ridiculous show. But now it looks like the Skeleton Crew has a reasonable shot at claiming the crown of least watched Star Wars show, which is likely why the stars of The Acolyte are saying shit like this. They're claiming that, despite the fact that Disney went out of their way to announce that The Acolyte was canceled, despite the fact that we didn't even know that there were supposedly going to be more seasons of that thing coming out, we were all under the impression that it was a one-shot type show with 1 season originally planned. They're coming out and saying that it could get a second season. In fact, it was apparently announced that the show was originally planned to have 3 seasons and a movie, but that all fell through because it was such detestable dog shit. And then Yellow Flash posted this on Twitter. It's a headline from an article which says, "I can only have faith that racism will end someday. The Acolyte's Li Zhangzhe remains positive even after the Star Wars show's racist backlash, because these people are basically just children who constantly attempt to use the racism smear as a shield to protect them from any kind of criticism." And then Yellow Flash said, the only time you hear any news about Star Wars, it's Lucasfilm calling people racist. Notice this gets posted the day Skeleton Crew released. And yes, I did notice that. This is the only way for Star Wars to get any hype any longer, and it's about as pathetic as possible. The only way anyone notices them is when they're causing a controversy like this. But sadly for Lucasfilm, there are diminishing returns on this shit, and I think Skeleton Crew will struggle to find an audience, but time will tell. I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your thoughts down below. Will Skeleton Crew become the least viewed Star Wars show of all time? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.